Hey guys, this is Mr. H. Hey, I wanted to do a quick video on how to find positive, negative, or zero intervals. And what I have on my graph or my iPad is a XY coordinate plane. And I shaded the portion below the x-axis blue. And the reason that I do that is I want you guys to associate that region with water. And basically anything down there in the water is considered negative because it's below the x-axis. All right, so this is all negative. Everything down here is negative. Everything up here is positive. And then anything on the x-axis is zero. So positive, zero, negative. So if you remember that, then it's pretty simple to know where the graphs are positive, negative, or zero. So now let's look at a question. Let me get this oriented. All right, so what we have here is we're trying to find the interval where the function g of x is greater than zero. So what we're looking for is where is the graph positive. So in order to find intervals, the very first thing we need to do is put a vertical line where the graph crosses the x-axis, because that's where the graph is equal to zero. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to try to do is draw a vertical line right through there. My next vertical line is going to go right through here. My third vertical line is going to go here, right on the y-axis. And then my fourth vertical line, let me see if I can get this to work, is going to be about there. So now that I've done that, I can look at this and I can see that this portion from, let's say this is a negative 4.5, this is a negative 2.25, this is 0, and this would be about 3.5. So from a negative 4.5 over to a negative 2.5, this portion, this is positive because it's greater, it's above the x-axis. This portion right here from 0 to 3.5, this is also positive, right? From here all the way over to here is positive. Now this piece here is negative, but we're not looking for negative pieces. This piece over here is also negative. And then this little piece over here is also negative. But we're looking for positive pieces, so it's got to be within that interval. So if we look at this, I'm going to change the colors to blue. From a negative 2 to a negative 1, that's going to be this portion of the graph right here. That's negative. We can see that that's below the x-axis. So that's not the answer. If we go to a negative 1 to 0, we're going to go from here over to here. And we can also see that that is below the x-axis. So that's not the answer. So it's got to be C. But let's double check. So it's saying from the interval starts at 0 and it goes to a positive 1. So we're going to start here and we're going to go over to this piece. So this is the part of the graph that we're on. Now you can see that that's clearly above the x-axis. So that means it's positive, and that is going to be our answer. All right, now I'm going to look at one more question here, one more example. Now this one is saying, where's the domain of this function negative? So again, domain, interval, those are both saying we need x values. Again, the very first thing we should do is find where the graph crosses the x-axis. So it crosses the x-axis right here, this point right there, and then it also crosses the x-axis right here at 4. So we can see that our interval for the negative piece starts here at 0 and it goes all the way over to 4 because this part right here is below the x-axis. So that would be where the function is negative. I would go from 0 to 4. Now, if I wanted to know where the function is positive, I'd have to put the beginning interval would be this. The ending interval for the graph would be this. Now, we're not going to say from a negative 2 to 0 is positive because this has an arrow on it. And because it has an arrow, that means that it actually is going to a negative infinity in the x direction. It's going up in the y direction to a positive infinity, but we don't care about that. We only care about the x's. And over here, this arrow is also going to a positive infinity. So if we wanted the intervals where the function is positive, we would say from a negative infinity over to 0. So from here all the way over to here, it is positive. And then we would say from 4 all the way out to a negative infinity. So then we would go from 4 all the way out to a positive infinity. Those are the two pieces that are positive. This is the one piece that is negative. So I hope this has been helpful. Make sure always find your zeros first and then put a vertical line through them, because that's going to tell you the interval where the interval starts and stops. Okay? All right, guys.